Let's see what happens. It says you're live. Let me can see if it's showing up on YouTube.
Yeah. I see us there.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that it's
right
showing up on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've never used a StreamYard before, so.
Yeah, I don't know what your dashboard looks like. Mine's just sort of plain, so I can't see number of people in or nothing. So.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it showing up though on my channel itself. So I'm wondering. Oh no, we're live.
Yep.
We're live right now. Yeah, it's working. So apparently I got it figured out.
Okay. Good deal. Yeah, I don't, like I said, now I've got an area on the right-hand side. I've got private chat that I think me and you can chat, and then there's comments which would be from looks like Smoke in the Woods is in, and Jesse Dallas.
Garrett's in and Jesse Dallas is in. How you guys doing today? Oh, hey, there's Plowboy. That's actually how I found your channel, is through Plowboy's Ghost channel.
Yeah. Me and him's got to work at getting together some point in time.
Yeah, I'm going to eventually do a live and have Plowboy on and the 11 Bang Bang Boys, and just Plowboy was really the first. I think he was probably one of the very first YouTube channels I actually started following years ago. And that's how I found 11 Bang Bang's channel, is through Plowboy's Ghost. And then through 11 Bang Bang, I found some other channels, and through Plowboy, actually Plowboy did a video talking about you, and that's how I found you.
Yeah, so it seemed like I maybe if I remember correctly, it seemed like I maybe stumbled on Plowboy first, and then 11 Bang Bang guys, and then you, of course. So
yeah, actually, how I found Plowboy was I was on YouTube and I was looking for a gun years and years ago, looking for videos of a gun because I was thinking about buying one.
Mm-hmm.
And I stumbled across a Plowboy video. And I was just like, man, this cat's a pretty cool guy, you know. He just seemed like a regular guy, not like
he is from the great state of Alabama. So yeah.
He just seemed like, watching his videos, he seemed like one of those guys you could hang out with and drink a beer with, you know. And I was like, I'm gonna watch this guy, and
or some
watching him ever since.
A little bit of Dick Trickle there.
Long before I ever had a channel, I'd watch his and I'd comment. And one of the things that impressed me about him was he responded to every single comment. Sometimes it might take him a week or two to get back to you if it was an older video.
Right.
But he responded to every comment.
Gotcha.
And I thought that was pretty cool. A lot of the channels don't respond back to comments, you know.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I found 11 Bang Bang through Plowboy, and I found them guys were just like Plowboy. They just seemed like just the kind of guys you want to hang out with, you know.
That's it.
And then they respond to every comment. So, and then from there, I've just found other channels through all you guys, you know.
Yeah, I try to respond back as much as possible. Say the past month, I probably haven't been. If I have any that I've missed, I've just missed them because I've been out. I've been kind of.
Yeah, I mean, you've always acknowledged every comment I've ever put on. There's another channel that's a good friend of mine, Becoming Dangerous.
Okay.
He does a lot of the more modern type stuff and training type videos and stuff like that, you know.
Okay. I'll check it out then. Definitely have to check it out.
Yeah, you're lucky, Plowboy. Plowboy said you and him's neighbors. I said, man, that'd be pretty cool.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, we're probably where he's at. I mean, I'm going to say not much over an hour's drive. So,
Well, eventually I'm going to retire. I'm not going to keep climbing telephone poles forever. And when I do,
right.
my plan is to do some traveling, and I'm planning on setting up some stuff where I can come down and visit a bunch of you guys, different
Oh
guys,
yeah,
and hang out
love
with you
to.
for a couple days. I haven't
Yeah, the
decided if I'm going to get a
conversation
camper.
that even responds to the idiots.
Well, I'm going to either get a camper for the back of the truck, or I'm going to get an RV to pull behind the camper. That way I don't have to rent a motel room or nothing. And
Gotcha.
that way I can just start traveling around and hanging out with all the guys that, I'm friends with that all live
Yeah,
in different states.
right, right. Yeah, I mean, I've been, I started out my channel just, I don't know. I had the channel, not, I'll say it wasn't named Mill Creek Range, but I put up some shooting videos from years back. Some I had just listed as private, some I had public, and then one day I decided to, because where I'm at, this area, there's a creek not too far from us. So back when I was a kid here, my dad and uncle, they had cattle. I think they had combined, they had about 360 or so acres. And at the back part of the property, you went down some old logging trails, and you come out to this creek. And we would go down there pretty often. Dad would take us, or me and my neighbor Dave would go, and it's called Mill Creek. And so this little area around kind of people knows about Mill Creek. It sort of comes off of what's called the Sipsey River, and so I'm sort of just sort of named my area Mill Creek Range, and thought I'd just go ahead and just do some more videos, and kind of started doing a little bit more and more, and started having fun with it.
Well, I enjoy your
Especially with
content.
my old guns, thought that would be something I could sort of focus on. Some was old guns, and then add in a little bit of newer stuff as well.
So, what got you into guns? Were you just like
Oh,
grew up hunting and raised around them, or?
yeah, I really was. I mean, back in the early 90s, if I had a time machine to go back to the early 90s and have more money than what I had back in the early 90s, but yeah, I mean, early 90s, I mean, I guess, like I said, my first gun that I hope to be doing a video on, hopefully before the year's out, is a pair of Winchester model 1200 pump shotguns. My dad had the 12 gauge and I had the 20 gauge, and that 20 gauge was my Christmas present when I was in the third grade. And so then moving on up, I acquired both of my grandfather's revolvers. Well, I done one of them, the Smith and Wesson, here while back, which was a kind of a officer's model. And then I've got a Taurus, kind of on that J frame kind of build. And so just sort of started collecting. Had a few Taurus 357s, and I bought this what I call her is Bumidine, the Ruger Super Blackhawk with 10.5-inch barrel, stainless steel. So at that time, I started buying up some guns. I would trade some. Had some that I traded that I wished I had never traded off. Of course, I'm sure that we're all like that. Probably the worst one I'd done was a buddy of mine had bought this 30 caliber carbine, and it was manufactured by General Motors. And that little gun was tight. It didn't rattle, and it had 5 or 6 of the 15 round mags, and then I think I had 430 round mags. I bought it from him. This would have been early 90s before the assault weapons ban. And I bought it from him for $200 cash.
Damn,
And that was back when they was cheap, you know.
Yep.
And I kept it for a few years. And again, before the weapons ban, the assault weapons ban. And I got a wild hair, and I let it go to a guy for $275. Thought I done great. Then after the weapons ban, you couldn't find one in poor condition for under $6, and now they're $1,200 plus.
Man, I'll tell you what, we're doing really good. We got the big guys in here. We got Garrett from 11 Bang Bang. We got Plowboys Ghost. We got everything black powder in here.
Wow, Jake, yeah.
Yeah, I'm feeling extra special.
Oh, very good, very good.
And then, of course, we got Becoming Dangerous. I called him out earlier. He's a good friend of mine. I like him. I think that's in Jesse Dallas. I think that's everybody that's in here right now, or everybody I'm seeing in the comments. But no, you were talking about that, selling that. Back when I first got into, well, I've always had guns. My grandfather, my dad, they always had guns. I mean, I started going out hunting when I was like 5 years old, sitting in a blind with cousins and uncles and stuff.
Yep.
And when I first turned 18, I used to go to the Gibraltar Trade Center here in Michigan. They had a gun show once a month. And I could buy SKSs for $69.95 or two for $120 with a 400 and something round spam can of ammo for $120 out the door. And I'd buy them things. I'd keep them for a month or two, sell them off, trade them off, whatever. And I probably in a year, I probably bought 10 of them. And now I'm looking at the prices of SKSs. I'm like, if I could go back in time, buy crates of them things, just stick them away, and I could retire off of what they're charging for them things.
Yeah, I had a first cousin, and he was a member of the Alabama's Gun Collectors Association, so they got to go in before the show opened and kind of get first dibs. And he had so many of those SKSs. I know that he had one big gun safe full of them. And when he passed away, I think his 3 boys sold most everything off. They kind of divvied up some of them. He had a lot of nice collector style guns. He had one Desert Eagle. It was chambered in .357, that's not very, very, very common now. But man, that thing was super. It was nice. But yeah, the SKSs, he had so many of them, and he sort of, I guess, he kind of was a part of getting me in to go into the gun shows and buying a little bit here, a little bit there, and I've still got quite a few guns that I had back when I was much younger. I've got a Marlin Model 25 and bolt action 22, and I've still got it. My dad bought it for me. I guess I was around 13, maybe 14 years old. It's got a little 7-round mag, and I think I bought 4 or 5 extras for it, and that's become my turtle gun for around the pond. I've got a nice little scope on it. And that little thing shoots really well. I think it's got the micro groove barrel on it. But yeah, I stretched it out to about 300 yards before on a steel plate. Couldn't hear me hitting it, but once I walked down to the pond, I seen all the little dings on it, and I was actually hitting it. But it's fun to get out and shoot. So between it and the
we got Sheepdog in, and we got OL1 guy. So we're getting a few more people in.
Right.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I just always like to try and acknowledge people in the
Right.
comments.
Right. Yes, sir. But yeah, I guess between that Marlin 25 and the Winchester Model 1200, that's probably my two guns that I've had personal the longest. So
Yeah, I've got a little 22 single action revolver that, man, I don't remember when I got it. I used to carry it around in the woods for snakes and stuff like that.
mhm.
And I shot the barrel out of it. Literally, I mean, just never cleaning it or nothing. I
Right,
literally blew
right.
the rifling out of it.
Yep.
And I rebarreled it. And I don't think I really shot it much. By the time I rebarreled it, I was, grown and started getting into 357s and 44s and 45 Colt and all that. I've got the first 22 rifle my dad ever bought for me. And then I've got my grandfather's old shotgun that
Yep.
I've been hunting with since I was a kid, 410 double barrel. But a lot of the guns I had, I mean, when I first got guns, was grown and able to buy for myself.
Right.
I sold them off here and there to get other ones because at the time I had young daughter and a wife and just not a lot of money.
Mhm.
And then later on in life, I bought guns and I didn't sell guns, I didn't trade guns. But then in 2007, 8, when that housing crisis hit, me and the wife was trying to save a house that we just couldn't afford no more. We got trapped in that adjustable rate mortgage,
Gotcha.
and I sold off probably at least half my gun collection. And slowly
Yep.
over the years, I've been getting them back. I've sold them to buddies of mine or like my oldest son, and I've been slowly getting them back. And I'd say I got about half my original gun collection back now.
Okay. Good deal. Yeah, it was I've got my maternal grandfather's when he passed away a few years later. My grandmother gave me one of his shotguns. He had two. He had one that was a 12 gauge double barrel. Don't know what make, model, brand it was. It went to the oldest son, and then I got his single shot 12 gauge, and it's a revelation. What I have researched and looked at, it's been a while since I've done any looking about it, but they were sold through Western Autos and
Okay.
probability manufactured by Mossberg. Uh, but it's just a standard single shot, break open, 12 gauge. Shot quite a few squirrel with it back in the day. I would take it or either my Winchester Model 1200. Didn't really want to take it as much because it was really nice. It's got all the checkering up on the stock on the pump uh, area, so didn't really want to get it scratched up as much. So, and I wasn't as good of a shot trying to shoot squirrels jumping around trees with a 22. So I would just have to pick out the I just have to pick out the shot before eating them.
My great granny, she used to go out rabbit hunting with a 22 rifle, and she'd take 2 or 3 shells, and half the time she'd come back with 2 or 3 rabbits, and either half, like only fire one shell, or sometimes she'd come back with all the shells she took, and never could figure it out. And then my dad explained it to me when I got older. They'd run in like a brush pile or in a hole, and
Mm-hmm.
she'd just cut her off a stick about so long with a fork on the end. And she'd stick it down in there real easy until it touched them, and then she'd twist it and it'd get tangled up in that hair. She'd pull them out and snap their necks.
I'll be.
I was never able to do that. I tried it a couple times. Them folks down in Kentucky was pretty resilient.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Reaching in the holes and pulling out snapping turtles and stuff like that. I mean,
I'd pull out the
money was
world's
tight,
largest
so they
water
didn't
bottle.
waste a lot of shells.
Yeah, that's it.
And I've always been I guess, an average shot. So usually definitely shoot more shells off than animals I brought home unless I was deer hunting. You know, if I was rabbit hunting or squirrel hunting, if I brought 2 home, I fired at least 4 shells. You know,
We used to go dove hunting here, and yeah, you'd shoot a lot, but not collect as many birds. But yeah,
pheasant
but
hunting was.
had a ball though. Had a lot of fun.
I used to love pheasant hunting when I was a kid. There was tons of pheasants around, but I
Hmm.
was never a real good shot at pheasants. I mean, I'd probably go through half a box of shells getting 3 or 4 pheasants. You know,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
why I never
well,
used a single shot. I always used a double barrel shotgun so I could get that second shot off fast. You know.
right. Yeah, Plowboy. I remember the gun counter at the Western Auto here inside of Jasper as well. That was the one that was downtown by the courthouse, way back probably in the early '70s. And we had another sporting goods place downtown called Hall Brothers, Hall, and I think it was probably early '80s. It caught fire, and they carried a lot of powders, a lot of black powder, smokeless powder, a lot of reloading supplies, and yeah, it was a bad thing when it burnt, and that was kind of the end of our little town's sporting goods center. Uh, they never did build back. So, but man, you could go in and find had old military surplus goods, and enjoyed walking in there and just browsing around.
Yeah,
Kind of,
it's a lot different than
yeah, it is.
when I was a kid. I mean, when I was a kid, we used to take our shotguns and that in the trunks of our cars, and I mean, we couldn't take them into school. When my grandfather was a kid, they'd take them to school and stick them in their lockers. But we used to stick them into trunks of our cars or behind the seat of the truck, and it wasn't a big deal. If a kid
Theirs
took a
hung in
gun,
the back window of the pickup truck
yeah, I mean,
in the
if a
school
kid did that
parking lot.
nowadays, you'd have a SWAT team there surrounding them. You know,
Yes, you would. Yes, you would. The good old
totally
days.
different. Totally different world. I was actually talking to a good buddy of mine about that, and I said it just it blows my mind because when I was a kid, if you walk behind my house, there was 20 acres of woods, and then beyond that was cornfields, and beyond that more woods, and there was ponds out there and stuff. And as kids, all the neighbors knew who we were, so as long as we weren't tearing nothing up, we'd go cut across the corn to the woods over there, and we'd just camp out for 2 or 3 days. And I mean, it wasn't rabbit season or nothing, but I mean, if we seen a squirrel or a rabbit, we'd just shoot it, build a slow fire, and cook it.
Yeah, yeah.
Or go fishing in the ponds and eat the fish. And I mean,
Yep.
we'd go down to the lake there in town where I lived, and we'd go, hunting for catfish in the middle of the night, stay out all night. And my parents never had to worry about us. And now, I mean, I won't even let my grandkids play in the front yard unless I'm out there with them. It's just
Right.
totally different world than what we grew up in.
We had 6 of the grandkids here today, and they got outside in the backyard here playing. We kind of have 3 pairs. We have first, then with the 3 pairs, the girls is the oldest in the pairs. So the first pair, they're both 7, and they're 7 weeks apart in age. The next pair, they're 5 and 4. The 4-year-old will be 5 in November, so they're 5 months apart in age. And just so happen they both have blonde hair and blue eyes. And then the last pair, they will be 2-year-old in September, and they're 6 days apart in age.
Wow.
So they kind of come equipped with a best friend inside of
Yeah.
the family.
I got a 17-year-old granddaughter that I don't refer to any of my, refer to as a grand or as a step grandkid. I don't
Mhm.
believe in that. My son
Yep.
married her mom. she's my granddaughter. She's the oldest. And then I have a 11-year-old grandson and a 9-year-old grandson. Then I have the 4-year-old grandson. Then I have a 4-year-old granddaughter and a 3-year-old granddaughter. So I got 6 grandkids, and they're like spread way out.
Yeah, we got the 3 pairs, and then we've got a soon-to-be 15-year-old and then a 17-year-old. They're both boys. They're football players, and yeah. So yeah, it was pretty wild here earlier today with the 6 running around. So of course, you know, I couldn't get up and about and chase them because of my back issues right now, recovering from that. But it was good watching them pair up, especially the 2 oldest ones, and pair up.
Before I forget, anybody watching this, Mill Creek Range, Benji there, he had to have some back surgery, so keep him in your prayers when you say your prayers tonight, please.
Yeah, I'm still recovering. Been a slow recovery, so hopefully they just got me started up on physical therapy last Thursday. So hopefully I get better soon. So I'd like to
I'll
get
be
back.
right back. I'll be right back, Benji. Yep. Go ahead and talk to him for a minute.
No problem. Well, yeah, my trigger finger's starting to get a little itchy. So I definitely been wanting to get down back to the range and shoot some. And so hopefully here soon. But yeah, Plowboy, I think the pawn shop that you're probably looking at for back in the 90s probably been Bill's Pawn Shop. It's the closest one that I'm aware of to the mall there inside of Jasper. Then there's another one as you're leaving town, going west, there behind what used to be the Wally World, was Hudson's Pawn Shop. It'd been around for a long time, and Jeff there, he just recently retired and closed it up.
Well, Plowboy says he's got 6 grandchildren too. I think he's trying to keep up with me. Or I'm trying to keep up with him. One of the 2.
That's it. Yeah. Thank you, Random Yank. So
yeah, I don't. I'm still a small channel, and I don't get tons and tons of views. But I tell you what, I appreciate every subscriber I got. I think I got some really good people always commenting, and for me, that's why I do the YouTube thing. Is for one thing, I enjoy doing it as a hobby, but I love reading the comments. I mean, I get a few trolls here and there, but 99% of the comments are just really good. And I try and acknowledge them and engage with them just because I appreciate them.
Yeah, finding a firearm that's still covered inside a Cosmoline, that's a rarity. But did any of y'all catch the video on Rock Island Armory yesterday? On the
no, I haven't been on YouTube a whole lot. I mean,
man,
like when I'm working on stuff, I'll let an audio book play in the background, or like if you've got a video on, a lot of times I'll play in the background while I'm doing something. But I don't watch a whole lot of channels anymore. I mean, most of the channels I honestly watch are right here in comments,
Right. Need to go and check that one out. It was, you just got to go check out Rock Island Armory channel. It'd be the most updated video. It's not, I don't think it's Mansfield find. Let me look here in my history right quick, because I just watched it this morning. And it is, like I said, talking about, it's the Marshfield find. So talking about finding a gun that's still got Cosmoline. This one here was still inside of the original Winchester crate. Had never been opened. I think they opened it up in the 70s. 1970s. It was bought. I don't remember now what year it was purchased in. I want to say late 1800s or early 1900s. I think it was a Model 92. Beautiful. No, it was not. It was a Model 86. Beautiful case hardening. It was in 4590. Got
Wow.
I mean, you got the whole history of it from it's inside of it's scabbard. It's got factory ammo. It's never been shot other than what it was shot at the Winchester factory.
Wow.
And it's
I really
there's no telling what that gun is going to go for at auction.
I can promise you it'll be out of my budget.
Mine too.
But eventually someday, and I won't have an original, I'm sure, but eventually someday I got to get me an 1873 Winchester. Every time you do one of them videos, I'm like, man, I got to get one of them. But I want the long barrel, long octagon barrel.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's 26 inches is the long barrel. I want the pistol grip stock on it. I think they called it a Deluxe model, or at least in Cimarron, you know.
Yeah. I think it was. I know the one that I've got. It's called the Sportsters model with the pistol grip. But
that's what I want, like you got. But I want the longest barreled one they got. I think it's 26 inches long.
Yeah. This one here, I've got a 20-inch barrel. It's a.
I just think there was something so pretty about that long barreled 1873. Man, it just really
they're
does.
Nice. Like I had a buddy FaceTime me yesterday. He was on his way back to Washington State from Sturgis, and they stopped at a little town in Idaho, and he FaceTimed me, was showing me all of the guns inside of the place. Some old, a lot of 73s with a nice big price tag on them, of course. You know?
Oh yeah.
So, yep. The one of the 73s that I have, which will be 131 this September, I'm getting it ready to send off, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, to Mark Douglas there at the Cimarron, not Cimarron, Cinnabar channel.
Oh no, kid, I love that channel.
So he's bought a gun facility there inside of Cody, Wyoming, and they're starting up to do barrel liners, and I'm gonna ship him this 73 because I cannot get it to hit. I can get it to hit at say 25 yards, really nice tight group, but you get out to 40, 50 yards. I mean, they're all over the place. Yep. And so
I swear if I ever win the lotto, I ever win the lotto, I'm gonna have me original 1873 Winchester, and I'm gonna have me an original 1872 open top, and I'm gonna have me an original Richard Mason's conversion. Them are the three guns I really want the most, you know.
Yeah, and Jake, I think on the 30-inch barrels up on the 73s, I think those were on what they called the musket model, which had I think the forearm stock went all the way out to almost to the end of the barrel. Those were the 30-inch barrels. I believe those were the muskets.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. But they're rifled. They're not smooth. They're not smooth bore. But actually, you go back to the Cinnabar channel, not the video that Mark come out with today, but his previous video. He really goes in depth on talking about the 73s and what that I didn't know. Was so you've got first model, second model, and third model. Well, those terms have kind of come up. They wasn't terms used by Winchester. So they just sort of like in mid 1879, they kind of upgraded parts and changed. So they went from a 5-groove barrel to a six groove barrel. They redid the frame. Instead of having a mortise dust cover, they went to a dust cover that run up on a rail, which was bolted to the frame. They made a few changes, but they didn't go. Now this is the second model Winchester. So pretty neat vid. A little bit more history on the Winchester 73s that I did not know.
I don't know a whole lot about the 1873s other than I just really like the looks of them.
I love them.
You know, most of I'm not like everything Black Powder said that the long barreled one is 30 inches. And I do believe that he's right. And I would trust his word way over my own, just because now that I think about it, I think I did read that. But I'm not one of them guys that got real big. I didn't learn to read until I was in my 20s. So for me, you know, I don't know the history of a lot of the guns and all that. I'm like, wow, I like that, or I seen that in a movie and I really like that, or I really want one. And that's why I watch a lot of your guys' channels is Black Powder. Man, I have learned so much about Black Powder through him. And then like you or 11 Bang Bang, I learned a lot about the history of these older cowboy guns, you know.
Yep.
And then Plowboy, it's his fault. I blame it on Plowboy all the time. When the wife gets mad at me when I buy a new gun, I just say, hey, it's Plowboy's fault.
Got to blame it on somebody. I mean, I actually learned, this week from Jake. If I do decide to start making my own black powder, I'm not going to use green peas. So there we go.
Yeah, man, I tell you what, I know he says it's easy, but I watch him with all that testing and that, and I'm sure it is easy for him as much as he's made, but I'm sure if anybody could screw it up, you just let me get a hold of it and I could screw it up real good.
I look at it as I really don't need another hobby right now. I dove into the casting, the casting side, and the only reason I really went into it was for my old 73s. If I was shooting more modern, I really wouldn't. But with that, I kind of needed the casting. But it's just another thing that you got to buy more stuff for and take up more time, and you got to search for components.
See, I've been very fortunate. I've made some friends with subscribers over time, and I got a subscriber, Tom, and he doesn't like to be acknowledged, but I still have to give him credit. But it's his hobby is he likes to cast bullets. And he casts all my 45 bullets. Now he's casting my 44s since I started doing the videos with that 44 special. And I've tried to pay him. He won't let me pay him. I'd pay the shipping. I finally got him to let me agree to do that. So I don't really have to cast bullets, although eventually I'd like to learn how. And eventually I want to make my own black powder just because, the way things are going in this country, and with ammo shortages all the time. I mean, it seems like every couple of years we have an ammo shortage and you can't find no ammo. I used to train, I used to do a lot of AR videos on my first channel, the channel I had before this one. And I did cowboy gun videos too, but I did a lot of AR, AK videos and training and that. Well, all that ammo got so hard to find that I started doing the Plowboy load, but I used 777, 40 grains of black powder and 45 Colts. So I could at least shoot during COVID when we had that big ammo, shortage.
Right.
And I learned that I'd rather shoot a little bit than not shoot at all. And, this last time we didn't have a problem finding black powder. I did have a problem finding primers, but I was able to still get them here and there. Right now, you can't hardly find like even jacketed bullets. It seems like as fast as they come in around me, they're sold out. So I would like to eventually learn how to cast bullets and how to make my own powder so that if another big ammo shortage hits, I can still at least shoot. Because, I mean, I'm never going to be, I mean, I've seen like, everything black powder, put the rifle over his shoulder and shoot a target, looking through a mirror. And, I mean, I've seen all these guys I've seen the 11 Bang Bang guys do really long shots. I'm
Yeah,
not that guy. I'm just an average shooter. I like to do
that's
cowboy
me.
gun, I like to do gun tricks, but I'm never going to win no competitions in accuracy or nothing. 25 yards or less, I trust my abilities with just about any handgun I own to do what I need to do to get myself back home. But I'll never be, a sniper or I mean, realistically, 300 yards is as far as I'm shooting. I might be able to push it out to 400 with my
Mhm.
one AR. It's got 20-inch barrel on or 18-inch barrel on it and a big scope and that. But right now I could honestly say at 300 yards I could, group pretty good. But
Yeah,
I'm not a long range shooter. I'm
me
more of a
neither.
up
Me
close
neither.
point
Not
shooter.
steady enough.
You know.
Well, I'm really hoping to get my Springfield trap door back out. I've looked at it this week or this past week. I've got the ammo hanging up on the wall inside of my building, ready to go. I got, I think, 5 or 6 different Ziploc bags with about 10 to 20 rounds per bag. I want to test out. Just got to get time, and back's got to be good enough to do it. So
Well,
I've
you're
been,
gonna heal up. I mean, I'm pretty
yeah, it's gonna take
confident.
a while, but I've been wanting to do that shot for a while. Just time hasn't really worked out. But then talking about tricks, have you seen the last Tuco and St. Andrew video of the
No, I didn't see it.
shooting the rope? Done good. I was impressed.
Yeah, I was thinking about eventually trying to. I don't even know if it can be done because it was a Hollywood thing. But I've been thinking about taking my Ruger um, Old Army because it's similar. Well, it's not even similar. It's a totally different gun, but it's the only gun I have that looks the closest to the 1858 Remington.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to try that shot that Lee Van Cleef Angel Eyes did, where he was shooting Clint Eastwood's hat across the ground and then up in the air.
Well,
I've,
yeah,
I've got an old I've got an old raggedy cowboy hat, and I've got a bunch of 45 Colt loads loaded up. And one of these days, I think I'm going to try that. I don't know if it'll work or not. I was actually talking to Santee from Arizona Ghost Riders,
mm-hmm.
and because he knows a lot of the people in the film industry and that, and I was
Right.
asking him how they did it, and he said he said probably with a string, but he would try and find out for me. But I want to
Yeah.
see if it could actually be done, actually shooting.
Well, I guess great minds think alike because I was actually thinking about doing the exact same thing. I've got an old hat here, which is like just a cheap that was picked up. It came with a deal, and I didn't care for the hat. I might do a thing, but you do it. Let's see how it works. I'll be
Well, see,
looking
you got me the other day. You did that video where you were shooting them soda bottles,
out.
and I was getting ready to do a video like that, and I was going to
you
use
do. You do.
I was going to
You go ahead and
I
do
was
the hat.
yeah, I was going to use one of my Curse cartridge converted pistols, and I could just about guarantee you that the sights on them, I need to file them because on them you have to file the hammer and then
Right.
recut the notch
Yeah.
to do the up and down or left and right. You could do the front sight, but most of them shoot so high
Mm-hmm.
that you have to cut the hammer, file the hammer to bring it down. And I was like, because me and you were actually talking about it, I said, yeah, I was getting ready to do one of them. I said, but I'd probably have to walk up about 10, 12 inches away and shoot it to hit it. But anymore, so many people have done so many videos, it's really hard to come up with something that somebody else hasn't already done. You know?
Right. Yeah, it definitely is. You don't want to, steal. You may do something similar or work off of it, but again, yeah, it just really just depends on what it actually is.
Nobody that I know of has done a triple shot or spin cocking with live ammo or triple shot with live ammo off a horse. And I'm still going to do that. I just got to find a horse.
Okay.
I have not
Well, just
found a
don't.
horse.
Once you do find the horse, just don't end up shooting the horse. Okay.
Well, no, when the first time I do it with blanks just to make sure, because you don't want no accidents or nothing. But
Right.
I got to find a horse that ain't gun shy so that I can set up a target. And I'm not going to do it while the horse is running or nothing, but see if I can pull a triple shot off and a spin cock off a horseback.
Yeah. Yeah, becoming dangerous is exactly right. Half the time he's working up on a video, and then he sees that someone's done it. So yeah, it
Well,
happens.
that's Becoming Dangerous. He does a lot of custom gunsmithing with more modern guns, and
Okay.
I mean, I'm into the modern guns. The old West guns them are my absolute favorites. I try and tell people all the time, if I could only own one handgun and one rifle, it would most likely be some sort of Colt clone for
Mhm.
the handgun and some sort of Winchester for the rifle. I mean, I grew up watching the old Western movies. Me and my dad never got along when I was a kid. My dad was military, and by
Okay.
the time I was 10, 12 years old, I wanted to be a Hell's Angel and grew my hair long. And so me and my dad never got along. The only two things we got along about was watching Western movies and working on cars.
Okay.
That's the only time me and him could do it in hunting. Them were the only three things me and him could do without getting into fights. And so I guess it just kind of growing up, just the old Western movies, I mean,
Right.
Have Gun Will Travel and Wanted Dead or Alive. Old black and
Yes.
white movies is what he watched and that. And I grew up with that, and it's just, I guess that's where my love of firearms came. Them were the first guns I remember seeing as a kid and watching them guys going, man, I want to be like them when I grow up,
Right. Yeah. Plowboy did say if you do end up shooting the horse, don't post the video.
Yeah, well, I got a feeling whoever lets me use the horse probably going to shoot me if I shoot the horse.
I was just saying, I watched a old Western just a few days ago. It must have been up on one of the other channels. Wasn't up on YouTube, but the guy was kind of more of a city slicker, and he was going out to try to catch these people that had shot up the town, and he wound up, I think, shooting 3 horses he was on. So it was sort of a comical Western. Don't remember the name of it.
Have you ever watched I Never Met a Gun I Didn't Like? Have you ever watched his channel?
I have.
Man, I really like that guy. I don't know him like I know you or not, but I talked to him in the comments and that. And I was joking with him one day and told him I wish I lived closer. I'd rent his horse. He's done a bunch of videos shooting off a horseback.
Yes. Yep.
But he seems like a really cool guy too. It's like, Jake. I just talked to Jake from Everything Black Powder in the comments. I don't know him like I know you or Plowboy or nothing, but there's a lot of good people out here in YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, sure. I got to meet Jake back this past February, as well as shoot, mine just went blank. But yeah, I'm sure Jake enjoyed Vegas where that we was at, because I was there for a conference, and we was at the Hilton World
You must have met
Resort.
Snapper down there.
Yes, yep, and yeah, so they during that time they was a big convention at the hotel that you've seen a lot of scantily clad people. It was the AVA Awards, adult video.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was pretty interesting time. Because typically that's all held at like the Hard Rock or some other hotel, and yeah, there was.
Thank God there was no social media and cell phone cameras when I was young. I'd probably never show my face on video again.
Yep.
Back in my wilder days.
Jake says he's hit that. He's still traumatized. Me too, kind of.
Back in my wilder days, I went. You know what the Easy Rider Rodeo is?
No.
It's a big bike event. They do them all over the United States, and I went to the one here in Michigan, and the campground. You can go into the Easy Rider Rodeo, but to get into the campground, you have to camp, and they pretty much they close it off. It's all motorcycle clubs for the most part back in the camping. And after about 3 days drunk and partying hard, I don't remember it, but I had a bunch of guys telling me I rode around the campground on my chopper with nothing but a pair of cowboy boots on, and that's it.
Okay.
Like I said, thank God there was no social media and cell phone cameras when I was a young man.
Might be a few.
I'm not the only one that did it, I'm sure. I mean, if you've ever been to one of them Easy Rider rodeos, they get pretty crazy.
I bet.
But I gave all that stuff up, 25 years ago. I mean, I still got bikes, but I don't. If I ride, I just ride by myself. I don't do the whole club thing anymore and that. It just. You can't be in a motorcycle club and have kids, you know. I didn't want my kids raised around all that partying and all that, you know.
Yep. I knew of a few that was in them. Pretty hard life.
Yeah, I tell people it's for single guys because you don't stay married long doing that kind of stuff, you know.
Yeah, one of the guys, I painted all of his tanks, his fenders on his Harley, done a nice marbleized red maroon marbleized finish, and wasn't about a couple months later he wrapped it around a telephone pole, killed him.
I tell people all the time, man, I can do the most beautiful custom paint jobs on Harleys as long as you're drunk and standing 25 feet away.
Tell you what, those that was my first bike parts to really paint. And the tanks wasn't as hard, but the front and rear fenders were. Just I had to make some stands to hold them, and so I done the a marbleized finish. So I basically done a silver base coat. Then I put the marbleizing agent on, and then I put my Saran wrap down, and then pulled it, and then I put my candy colors up on top of that.
I can actually do some really nice paint work. The problem is hang on. The problem is, you know, if you've done painting,
oh yeah,
you got to have your prep work good. If your prep work's not done right, your paint's never going to look good no matter what you do.
Yep.
And I didn't have a lot of patience when I'm younger. But as I'm getting older, my patience is way, way lower. And the prep work it takes to get that really nice paint job, I just don't have it in me. I start with good intentions, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to flat black this son of a bitch and ride it. You know what I mean?
I've done some automotive painting inside of the past, and the body work, that's up to somebody else. I don't have the patience for the body work to get it all perfect. I just don't have patience. But I'm a 38 years in industrial painter. So water towers, bridges, stacks, steel mills.
I tell you what, as I've gotten older, I mean, my patience is just, I've got great patience with my grandkids. But other than that, my patience is just gone. I can't, I don't go out in public and like go places anymore unless I absolutely have to. I just can't deal with stupid no more, you know. And my wife, she watches a lot of politics still, and I go off in the bedroom and watch something. I watch these gun channels, or I watch
Hmm.
the car channels and that, because I can't deal with it. I get so aggravated that it's just like I can't deal with it.
Yep. Yeah, I enjoy it. That's what I do. I do a lot with my guns. I also years ago collected a lot of drums. So I've been playing drums since I was about 12, and I grew up in a Pentecostal church, so we had to have drums. And
Yep.
I've got a pretty good drum collection. A lot of the drums I've done some custom work to them because they were orphans. Put them together, and I've done a lot of paint work. So I've actually used to build custom drums and snares, and ship snares all over the world. I sold snares to people inside of Russia, Poland,
You know,
Australia.
I got the utmost respect for guys like you and Plowboy that can play a musical instrument. I always wanted to be a guitar player when I was a kid. I bought a couple different electric guitars, a couple different
Yep.
acoustic guitars. I just never had the patience to learn it good. I'd learn a few chords, and if he was really, really drunk, I might sound halfway decent for a minute or two. And my little brother took one of my guitars when he was like 14, and within a week, the kid taught himself how to play. And a couple years later, he could play a song on the radio 2 or 3 times, and he could play it on the guitar. And I'm like, I just
Yep.
never could get it.
That was my nephew. My dad could play any stringed instrument. Also, he could also play the spoons. But my nephew, he picked up guitar really quick by himself. Wound up playing lead guitar for about 5 or 6 years for Leon Russell. He played up on stage with Willie Nelson and several others. So he done that. I stuck with drums, but yeah, I've just and I've done a lot of custom, a lot of custom work. But I go back to I've sort of got my drum collection where I really want it, and now I've been focusing up on my old guns and some of the others. I hopefully this week we'll be getting my Plowboy plays the spoons too. I see. Very good, very good. We have to get together sometime and jam.
I was
But
I was always good at building Harleys and getting in trouble when I was young. That's about all I was good at. Well, that and building guns. I did get that from my grandfather. My grandmother, now she played guitar and she actually sang. I actually got a record that I don't have a record player anymore, but she made a record and sent it out to a bunch of record stations and never made it big. But um, she used to play little small bars and that and little gigs. And she, when her and my grandfather got married, she said that because she had my dad and my aunt, and I guess she said by the time the kids were two, if she hadn't made it big, she was going to quit because she wasn't going to keep dragging the kids around. And
yep.
she never made it big, but in my eyes, she's still one of my heroes.
Looks like everything Black Powder. He plays the fiddle. I can
Oh, no
see
kidding.
that. I can see that.
Well,
Very good.
I can't play nothing, and I'm not even good at faking it. So
Oh, Plowboy, yeah, he got drunk and bought a fiddle.
I knew Cowboy played guitar because I'd seen him play it in at least one, if not a couple, videos back years ago when I
Oh,
first started watching him.
okay.
And then I didn't know that you played drums or Black Powder um, played fiddle. I always wanted to learn how to play the fiddle, the banjo, the guitar, and like I said, I just suck at all of it. So I finally just said, you know what, I'm good.
Yeah. Now my dad, he played mandolin, and I've got his. It's a Alvarez mandolin. He bought it back in the mid, early to mid '70s. Uh, Beautiful. beautiful.
That's like
instrument.
Garrett's a good guitar player and a singer,
Seen
you know.
him play on the video, yeah, and sings.
When
So
he's
good.
actually done a couple songs for me for my videos, Garrett.
Okay.
And I've always appreciated that. He's like I said, I've made friends with a lot of these other smaller YouTubers, and now some of them are actually pretty big. And to me, that's what makes all this worth it. You know, the whole
Oh yeah,
YouTube thing.
having fun, having a good time, and that's
You
it.
ever
I hope
heard
to
of
get my slides taken out to the engraver maybe this week on that Para P12 45 build I've got going. Hope to get that
you ever
back
heard
going.
of a you ever heard of a Jack all trades,
Yep.
master of none?
Yes, sir.
Well, my dad used to tell me I was a jackass of all trades and a master of none.
Well, my dad would always tell me, he'd say, son, you got to use your head for something other than a hat rack. I've always wearing a hat,
Well,
so
I was the first male in my family not to go in the military. So,
okay.
all my family had, like shorter haircuts and that. I decided to grow my hair long. I decided to ride motorcycles and go out and raise hell. Me and my dad butted heads for a long time. It wasn't until I think my daughter got about 8 or 9, my oldest daughter, and I decided, well, you know what, this lifestyle ain't what I want my kid around, and I got out of it. Before me and my dad started really talking again.
Yeah,
But my dad used to get
I didn't
what's
grow
that?
my hair out till mid 30s, and it was
Well,
work related actually. So it
I
was
grew my hair long, starting out, growed it long about 14, and I had a ponytail down past the middle of my back, had a beard down to about here. Used to drive my dad and my grandfather nuts, couldn't stand it.
I
And
bet.
then when I was about 25, I come out the shower and realized that I couldn't cover up the bald spot on the top of my head with my bangs no more. So I had my oldest daughter, you've seen the picture of her on Facebook.
Yep.
I had my oldest daughter braid my hair up in a ponytail because she used to braid it for me when I got on the Harley so it didn't get all tangled up.
Mm-hmm.
And I walked into the living room. I sat down at the coffee table, picked up a pair of scissors, and cut that ponytail off. Once I cut that ponytail off, I knew I could shave it. So I went in the bathroom, shaved my head, come out. My daughter cried and cried, cried, told me her mama was going to kill me and this and that because she had never, ever seen her dad with short hair or bald. She'd always seen me with, everybody said I looked like Charlie Manson back then because the hair just hung down everywhere, big old beard and that. And it
Yeah.
took her about a month before she wouldn't look at me and cry. She had a real hard time with dad shaving his head.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, I took a job in around 2004 at a fab shop. Come off the road working. Took a job at a fab shop close to home here, running the quality control department of the paint shop. And within 2 weeks, I was actually running the paint shop because the paint shop foreman quit. And when I got hired on, they said we rarely work weekends. And the guy said, I've been here for 13 years. I don't think I've ever had to work a Sunday. Well, after about 3 or 4 weeks, we was working 7 days a week. And we worked 7 days a week until I left in middle of 2005, right at a year. And just didn't ever cut my hair. So when I left, I had long hair. And at that time, I was like, well, I'm in my mid 30s. I'm just going to let it go and see how long it gets. And I've really
How old are you now, Benji, if you don't mind me asking?
56.
Oh, so you ain't just a few years older than me.
Yeah. Yeah.
We all grew up around the same time frame then.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
See, when I was a kid, as early back as I can remember, the town I lived in used to have a parade for the 4th of July every year.
Okay.
And the local motorcycle club from that town used to ride in the parade when I was a kid. And there was a guy that had a big old chopper, and he used to slow down, let the parade get way ahead of him, and then he'd pop a wheelie and ride a wheelie for like a block on that chopper.
Nice.
And I remember 5, 6 years old. I thought, man, I want to be just like that guy when I grew up. So for years, everybody was riding big old baggers and that, and I was frame choppers, and I just wasn't gonna ride nothing but a chopper. And then finally, my back got so bad, I had to break down. And I don't know, about 8 years ago, I think I bought a big
influence.
Bought a Street Glide.
Okay.
But
nice.
yeah, I always rode choppers. You know, it's just that was my thing, and I loved them. But my back like them. That's why I think that's partly why my back's so bad now. Is between climbing telephone poles and riding rigid frames, it tore me up. You know.
Yeah, mine's from all the abrasive blasting, moving the blast pots around, the hose, the 100-pound bags of sand, abrasive we would use, and just doing stuff I shouldn't have been doing, or lifting things the incorrect way for so long, and it's finally caught up with me. Definitely.
You know, it's funny because I'm sure, just like me, I'm sure in your 20s you thought you were invincible. You know.
Sure, you know.
I used to
climb that steel, no belt on, no harness.
Yeah. I used to grab them old panhead motors and shovel head motors out of my choppers and pick them up by myself, walk them over and set them on the bench and that. You know, that ain't good. And then I climb telephone poles. I still don't use, everybody now uses a buck squeeze. It kind of wraps around the pole, so if you gap out, you can only drop just a few feet. I'm still free climbing. I don't use this, you know, my safety strap's just hanging. I climb up. When I get up there, I put my safety strap around. And I'm still using an old rope safety like the arborists use. I don't even use an actual belt. And like I said, I think just being young and being stupid, you know, didn't help my situation with my knees and my back. And
it catches up to you quick.
But, you know, I've been doing it for so long. I've been free climbing for so long. I've tried hitchhiking up the pole. I can't do it. You know, the safety harnesses that guys use now, I can't climb with that stuff on. I can't do it. You know, it's like I've been doing it for, well, at that time, I started trying to push everybody to do that. I'd been climbing for 28 years. You're going to tell me after 28 years of doing it the way I do it, I got to change now? That don't work, you know.
Old habits are hard to break. Yeah, that's it. Tell you what, when that check engine light comes on, definitely need to pull over and get it checked out, because not doing nothing about it pretty much compounded my back problem. So
well, I found that out with my eye. I put off. They told me 20 years ago I needed to get that scar tissue cut off the eye. They said if it grows over the pupil and that, you're going to have permanent vision damage. And I put it off. And the doctor in my eye surgery said if I had put it off another 6 months or a year, I probably would have been blind in that eye. There wouldn't have been nothing they could do, because it had started growing over the pupil. And if I look all the way to the right, so I'm looking out that little corner of that pupil, my vision's still messed up. But for normal everyday looking, I'm pretty good, you know.
Good deal.
But yeah, you're right, man. When something ain't right, don't put that off, man. Go get it checked out, because if you don't, you'll pay for it later.
Hey, when mine sprung up this last time, July 4th, it was hurting, but I could still function. By the 5th, I was barely mobile, and by the 6th, I was thank goodness we still had Mom's 4-wheel walker here at the house. I was confined to using a walker to get from the bedroom to the bathroom to the den to the recliner, and I was like that for 9 days before we had surgery. And when I went to my 2 appointments, I had to be wheeled in and out in a wheelchair. Hit me all at once when it got bad. So it was rough.
Yeah, I know. I talked to you on the phone. I talked to you on the phone that day, man, and you sounded really bad that day.
I was.
I mean, I felt bad. I felt bad for you, man, because I could hear it in your voice how much pain you was in.
Yeah, I can take. I have a pretty good threshold for pain, but that was that one was hitting 12s, so it was pretty high. But yep. So hopefully I'll be able to get back on some videos here pretty soon. I got a couple I'll probably be doing from a bench on a 73 and on this pair of P12. And then hopefully I'll be doing a few more shooting. I still need to work on my left hand trigger pull. I'm still working up on that. I've got my a little exerciser building up my left hand strength for pulling the old trigger. And I've been doing a little bit of shooting prior to the surgery with my Heritage single action revolver, shooting them lefty. So it's cheaper shooting 22s. I just don't have the recoil. So
yeah, I've never been real good at shooting left-handed. I don't know why. Just never been good at it.
I don't want to get great at it. I just want to be able to draw and hit what I'm shooting at.
Well, I wanted to be able to spin a gun in the left hand and the right hand, but I just can't seem to get it with the left hand at all. I mean, if I take my time shooting with my left hand, I can shoot okay with my left hand if I take my time. But like in the movies, shooting two guns like that, I mean, I don't see me being able to do it. I'm just not that skilled,
Yeah,
but only videos I got coming up is I want to do a spinning and shooting targets with live ammo with one of my single actions, and then I got to do some. I want to do just a video with some 44 special loads, shooting like jugs of water. I want to try and find a load where I don't over penetrate, but I get maximum, for concealed carry, because I work in town in Flint and Detroit and that all the time. That's kind of why I'm moving from the 357 to the 44 specials. I want that big bullet with that, punch to it, but I want to load it down enough where I don't over penetrate, possibly hit somebody in the back.
Right.
Hopefully, I never ever need to use it, but just in case, I want to find a good load that it has plenty of stopping power without over penetration.
But always better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it.
That's kind of how I look at it with carry. I just always looked at it as like insurance.
Sure.
Hopefully, I never need it, but if I do, I don't want to say, "Man, I wish I'd have had it."
Right. That's it. That is it.
But no, yeah. I tell you what, man, I love watching you shooting them 1873s. Them are some beautiful guns you got. That original's a beautiful gun,
Well, I definitely want to get that 145. I still got some stuff to do to it. I'm going to be sending this other one off to have a lining put outside of it. The other one, that'll be 145-year-old. It shoots pretty good with hollow base bullets. So Buffalo Arms, they sell a hollow base bullet. It's a 200 it's about 222 grain, 20-1 lead, kind of soft, and I can get it to shoot pretty decent. But its diameter is 0.429, and the barrel slugging on that 73, it's slugged out at 0.433. So now, that's
is that just the way it was made, or is it just from years and years of shooting?
It was pretty common. The old 73s, they did not they really didn't machine them to a tight tolerance, even
Okay.
though the original 44W 44 WCF could be from 0.427 to 0.428. But it was very common to get a rifle with 0.430 to, I think I've actually heard up to 0.435. But
Oh,
the
wow.
thing was, with the lead being so, more, I'll say pure lead being very, very soft, the black powder charge would expand the base of the bullet to kind of fill the grooves. But again, I just if I could find a mold, and that's the problem, finding a mold for a hollow base bullet. Not very common.
Yeah, see, I don't know enough about that to even be able to give you any kind of offer of advice or opinions or nothing else. Like I said, I just started, I mean, I've never really been big into reloading
Mhm.
until just a few years back. It got impossible to find 45 Colt around me. So I got into reloading just for 45 Colt,
Yeah.
and now it's expanded into 44 Special and 38 Colt for my one, or 38 Special for my one, my 1889 Colt. It's I got to load hollow base bullets with it because it was made back when the bullet diameter for 38 was bigger than what it is now.
Mhm.
That gun was made, I think Garrett looked it up for me. I think that gun was made in 1891 or something. It was
Okay.
Colt's first swing out cylinder double action revolver.
Gotcha. Well, I've got about 6 different mold producers. I've talked to a couple, and they will not do hollow base design. So I've got some leads up on a couple others. So I hope to get back into it, start calling these other companies up and find out. I'd like to be able to send them a couple of the projectiles and have them to base a mold off of that bullet, but be sized about 0.431. I
Well,
can chamfer up to a 0.432.
could you take 45 Colt bullets and resize them down? Because, like, for my Rossi, if I was going to hunt with it, my 45 Colt lever action, like Plowboy's got,
Yeah.
I actually got a 300 and was it 340 grain, I think, 458, cast bullet. It's
Mhm.
459 diameter. I resize them and down to 451 and fire them through that so I can load up some good, like knockdown rounds for close
Yeah.
range hunting. And they seem to work really good. I mean, they size okay. I'm
Yeah.
just wondering if
Yeah, my bullet mold I've got for the large lube groove for 44 WCF, it throws out of the mold about 0.431 to 0.432. And I've run them unsized, and they'll still occasionally will keyhole. The ones
well,
I've found that shoots the best is the hollow base.
I was going to say if you can find a 44 sizer die
Mm-hmm.
cheap enough, send it to me and I'll put it in my lathe and I'll open it up and polish it and see if we can make you a sizing die at whatever size you want. If you want it
Okay.
434 or whatever, we can make it whatever size.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking if I could get a mold to cast about a 0.431 to 0.432, but be a hollow base, that would work out good.
Well, I'm just
Uh,
saying if you're having trouble finding a hollow base, mold, I
mhm.
mean, if you
Yeah,
can find a sizing die cheap enough, a 44, because that's going to be smaller.
right.
Like I said, I can chuck it in the lathe and I can hone it out or even ream it out and then polish it so that we can make you a sizing die in whatever size you
Yeah,
want. You know?
we'll keep it open as a option. But yeah, that's sort of what I'm looking at. If I don't If I can't, I may end up sending this rifle out to have a liner put in it, but I really don't want to because it's got a 5-groove barrel, so it's kind of a
Well, not to mention it's an original gun. I really wouldn't want to re-sleeve an original
That's
gun.
it.
If I was going to do anything, I'd rebarrel it, keep the original,
Yeah,
so that it could be put back. You know?
right. That was, one of the things that we talked about generation or models. It's kind of it's in the middle of a Model 1 and Model 2, 1873. It's got the, we'll say second model frame, but it's got a first model barrel and a first model magazine tube. So it's kind of made of both parts.
Oh, okay.
So I'd like to keep it as is if all possible.
Well, like I said, there's an option there. If you ever want to go that route, just let me know. You got my number.
Yes, I do. And address.
I don't know if you've ever watched Steve Mann. Stephen Mann.
I haven't.
Oh well,
I've heard of him.
Yeah, he was doing.
Yeah.
He's making a custom round of his own, and
Okay.
he sent me a die, and I turned it on the lathe for him and that.
Okay.
So
cool.
That's why I say I know I can do it.
Right. Very good. You try out any of those cigars I sent you?
No, my youngest daughter took the small ones in the metal tin, and I was actually going to light up one of the big ones tonight, but I forgot to bring it out here. So I don't smoke a whole lot of cigars. Well, I tried to quit smoking, and I do pretty good. I average about 1 to 3 cigarettes a week.
Right. Okay.
I went from 3 packs a day down to 1 to 3 cigarettes a week. I'm using this vape thing to get past the initial.
Right. Yeah.
And then lately I've been having a couple of these just so I can sleep better at night.
Right. I'm doing the Yoo-hoo tonight.
Well, I don't usually drink because I used to like to drink way too much, but
right.
I figure if it starts to get to be too much, the wife will tell me.
There you go.
She's pretty good at telling me when I'm doing something wrong.
Well, y'all keep a watch. I hope I'll have a video out here the next couple of weeks at least, hopefully. I've got to get the old physical back so I can start back traveling. I need to get back in the air some for some travels back in at least by October. So I'll be down around Joe Wheeler's place here the next week and a half.
I tell you what, there's another channel I really like, Joe Wheeler. He actually, one of these days, I got to do a holster video. I was going to do one, and then you came out with yours literally while I was working on mine. So I figured, well, I'm going to wait a while. But I've got a couple holsters that I sewed them together, but Duke Frazier cut the patterns out and all that for me. And I got a holster cross draw that Jay Wheeler did for me, and then I've got a couple other holsters that other people did for me, and I was going to do a video just showing all my holsters. And then you came out with your holster video, and I was like, well, now I got to wait for a while.
Sorry.
No, hey, like I said, man, in YouTube, there's so many people doing videos all the time.
Yeah.
It's really hard to come up with something that somebody else hasn't already done or is in the process of doing,
Right. Yeah, we can't afford to have those expensive camera crews following us around like some of them do.
No, I'm a one-man show.
That's me.
Every once in a while, I can get my youngest daughter to the video where where you see me on horseback. There's a couple videos where I'm on horseback. My youngest daughter did the video on that, but normally I'm just a one-man show. So
understand that's me. Yep.
I'm not as fortunate to have a bunch of family members to help me out, like the 11 Bang Bang boys all work with each other and do camera, this and that.
Yep. Well, that's it.
Unfortunately, both my brothers are gone. So, well, one of my best friends, I called him my brother. He wasn't really my brother, but he was like an older brother to me when I was, for years and years and years.
Okay.
He passed, and then my baby brother, my actual blood brother, he passed back in 2007.
Hmm.
So, kind of now when I do everything, I'm just a one man show.
Yep.
And you got an old guy trying to figure out how to edit, how to run a camera, and all that. So, if you're coming to my channel thinking you're going to get like uh, Grand Thumb or somebody like that's videos, no, I'm not an actor. I'm just an old guy that likes to have fun. My video quality is what it is,
I've tried to put a few things together, like me, coming toward the camera, firing blanks, and try to edit a few things in, but I'm learning.
I do little stuff like that, but I mean, I don't have somebody that actually knows how to edit my videos. I don't have a camera guy that can get different angles while I'm actually doing something,
I actually found a editing app for my phone. I've been using, I'll say, since December. It's called a CapCut. And I actually bought, they had a special, I think it was like $79 for a year. Bought a membership, which opened up a whole slew of pro stuff. And also with it, it's also got a desktop version. I played around with it a little bit on the desktop, but I haven't really edited anything with it. But I do all of my videos to date have been on my iPhone 14. And then
some of my better videos, like I did the one where if you watch it, well, actually, it was the first spin cocking of the Henry.
Mm-hmm.
A buddy of mine brought his drone out. I had 2 cameras set up, and then I actually edited that on the computer, and that one actually turned out pretty good. There's a few others that turned out, I think, pretty good. I mean, other guys might look at them and say I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but I've got a few videos that I've edited on the computer. But the problem with that is most of the time I don't really edit my videos. I mean, I cut parts out to shorten them up because I think they're too long.
Yeah.
But these guys that actually edit their videos, take the time to edit their videos, you can tell the difference. They do great videos. They don't have any mistake videos and that. Well, I just don't have a whole lot of time. Usually it's easier just to condense it down, cut it up in pieces and condense it down and just put it out. And, if I make a mistake, you guys get to watch me look like an idiot,
Well, I've got a pretty good GoPro. It's I think a Hero 7 Black. I have taken it to use it. I think I've used it one time, and I believe that when I did use it, it was when I shot the soda bottles. That's the only time I actually used it and used it inside of the film.
See, I thought you edited more of your videos. I look at like your videos, everything Black Powder, Plowboys Ghost, 11 Bang Bang, and I'm like, man, my videos really suck compared to you guys.
Just playing around, trying things out. I'm really surprised how well, but I'm surprised. I'm pleased with it of what the iPhone 14 Pro does. I tell
people all the time, don't do what I do. I'm a professional. Not really, but I am a legend in my own mind.
That's it. Yep.
You know what? I'm not a real cowboy, but I do like to dress up and play one on YouTube.
Same here. I grew up with cattle, but my dad sold all of the cattle out back in the late 70s, I think around 79. And but always been fascinated with the old westerns. Again, my dad always had plus up in North Carolina, which is just outside of Cherokee, which is called Maggie Valley. There was a place there up on a mountain. I think it was called Buck Mountain, Ghost Town. And every time we would travel up there, and sometimes we would go 2-3 times a year, we would we would always go to Ghost Town in the Sky, and then have the gun fights. They had the old West Town, had the can girls inside of the saloon, and then inside of Cherokee before the casino, they had what was called Frontierland. And so being around that, I loved everything Old West, and I've always worn boots. Probably started wearing the hats probably back in, I'll say, the late '90s, and really got wearing hats more frequently probably in from the mid 2000s on. Started losing
I
some
wear
hair.
this rag. My wife bought me this hat. Oh God, man, my daughter couldn't have been more. My youngest daughter couldn't have been more than 4, I don't think. 20 years ago, my wife bought me this hat, and I wear this hat almost every day. The only time I don't wear it is when I'm working. But like when I get home, if I'm out in the yard, wherever, I put this thing on, and it don't look too bad in video. But man, if you look at it in person, you're like, man, that is a raggedy, nasty looking hat. But I just don't have the heart to get rid of it.
I've got a few that's old and wear them. They're comfortable. They fit. But I've got started wearing this here bowler, and then got another one back. I bought it when I was outside of Arizona this past May. I bought it. Kind of like, I don't know. Been wearing them a tiny bit more, and kind of like.
I've always, I never wore hats until my wife bought me this one, and this was actually the first cowboy hat I ever got. And it didn't used to droop down that bad in the back or the front. I mean, it drooped down a little bit, but not as bad as it is now.
A character.
But I don't know. I love this old hat,
Yep.
And it's got sentimental value. My wife and my daughter and my son got it for me for Father's Day.
Yep. So, yeah, probably one of my first one was really just a Outback canvas hat, oil skin canvas hat. Had it and the Outback Drover, and they stayed inside of my truck because I would go to the different job sites, and if we got rain, I put that hat on and put the Drover on, sort of like a short Drover's kind of like a short duster. So
yeah, see, when I rode Harleys, a lot of the guys in the clubs, they wore chaps, for when it was cold and stuff. But I never liked wearing chaps. It's just a personal thing with me, but I always thought like all these movies where the gay guys wore chaps. So I couldn't do it. I mean, no offense. If people wear chaps, no offense, I just couldn't do it. So I bought a leather duster trench coat, and I took it to a leather shop, and you know how the dusters split down the back?
Yep.
I had them do snaps down the backside so I could wrap it around my legs and snap it on the inside, and it worked just like chaps for when I was on the bike. Then when I got off, I just opened it up.
Right.
And the problem was, though, it only come down to about 3-4 inches below my knee because I'm 6'2". Actually, back then I was almost 6'3". So years ago, I had a custom, and it cost me an ass load of money, but I had a custom leather trench coat made.
Oh, wow.
And now that I've dropped down to 6'2", actually, I think I've got it on in a couple of my videos, but that thing comes down probably about almost 3 inches from the ground, as tall as I am with cowboy boots on.
Yeah.
And it's got the snaps on the inside and split. And if I wrap that thing around my legs and get on the bike, it's like having, because it's super thick and heavy, it's like having the best pair of chaps you ever seen on,
Yeah.
But that's just how I did it. I always rode with, a lot of guys wore the old Marlon Brando style leather jacket and that. I just always rode with a leather duster, or a leather trench coat.
Yeah. But then with the holsters, the first few that I had was the Buscadero rigs, and not knowing the true history, you thought those was, again, you've seen the old westerns, they have the Buscadero rig, the low slung holster strapped to the leg, and then you read like, oh, that's just Hollywood. Well, that
Yeah.
sucks. So
Yeah, I've got
start
both
sort of
styles.
changing your role.
I've got both styles. I've got Buscadero style rigs hang down low, and then I've got more of the traditional John Wayne looking style rigs, Yeah, it don't matter. I like all of it. You know what I mean?
That's it.
I even got a rig now for my my mare's leg, similar to what Steve McQueen had and Wanted Dead or Alive.
Yeah.
I've got holsters. If I've got a handgun, I've got a holster for it. And if I get a new handgun and I don't have a holster, I end up getting one. I don't share the same holster with, each gun's got its own belt and holster setup.
And I don't get rid of holsters either. So
no, actually, I've had to extend 3 of my belts now as I've gotten older and got a little bigger in the waist. I've actually had to just cut the threads and make the belt strap longer, and then re-sew it in so it looks good. The first one I did doesn't look. All I did was just move the belt forward, on the actual cartridge belt, so you can see the old stitching holes in that. But on the I've done, I've actually made a whole new leather belt, just made it longer so it goes in the same spot in that.
Yeah.
I'm not by any means a leather worker, but I'm learning a little bit. I'm one of them people that I'm too cheap to pay people. I mean, I have come to the conclusion that if I want something really nice looking, have somebody like Jay Wheeler make it, or have somebody like Duke make it, or my buddy at Legendary Custom Leathers make it. But if it's just a belt holster I'm gonna wear out in the woods and that, I make that stuff myself because I'm cheap. I hate spending money.
You got to be as much self-sufficient as possible.
Well, it just the more money I spend on stuff like that, less money I got to spend on ammo and guns. So
that's it.
If I've made a couple belts and a couple holsters, and standing 5 feet away, they don't look bad. But you put them next to somebody that's a real craftsman like Jay Wheeler or something, and you look at him and you go, yeah. The guy that made that was not as good as the guy that made that by no means.
Right.
But they work, and that's all that matters.
That's
and they look good in video. As long as they look good in video, I'm good.
That's it. I like the one, the one holster I got. I typically put the 10.5-inch barrel super Black Hawk in it because about 4 inches of barrel hangs out the bottom.
Hey, hang on a minute, buddy. I gotta go grab a charger. My phone's gonna die.
Okay. So yeah, I'll talk about a few little subjects here and there, and it's all about having fun, getting out, enjoying it, putting a few rounds down, being safe, of course, and having fun, and learn something new. So part of it. Yeah, about the flannel line jeans, I started wearing them some back during probably about 10 or so years ago of the Carhartt brand. Loved them because, man, the wind doesn't. I don't ride a bike, but be out around the jobs, and that's the worst thing is the wind blowing through your jeans. And those flannel line jeans, they are nice and warm.
I've been wearing Carhartt bib overalls and hoodies for so long. And I think because I've been working outside pretty much since I was 15, 16 years old, I seem to get by on that. Now, I will say as I've gotten older, I got to have good boots. If it's cold out, I got a pair of $400 Hoffman climbing boots that are good to 30 0. And you're not going to see me wearing regular line boots in the wintertime. There's guys that do it. They just put on an extra pair of socks.
Mm-hmm.
If my feet get cold, I'm done. I'm wearing stuff that's rated to -30s,
That's me. My feet get
cold. What I do is I slip my winter line boots off, and slip on a pair of cowboy boots, because that's all I wear is cowboy boots 99% of the time. But when the snow and the cold hits, I'll wear my cowboy boots till I get to the job, take them off, put on them big Hoffman winter, Arctic winter climbing boots, climb the
Yeah.
cold, do my work. When I come back down, as I get in the truck, I slip the cowboy boots back on, because if you wear them in the truck driving to the next job, your feet will sweat, and then when you get back out in the cold,
Yeah.
you're done. I mean, it's way
Well,
worse.
on the boot thing, I haven't been able to put on a pair of boots since before the surgery, and probably will not be wearing any boots in the near future right now. So the other last week, first time getting out of the house since the surgery, wife took me to a shoe store, and I bought a pair of Hey Dudes. Embarrassed.
Man, I've just been wearing
They're
cowboy
comfortable.
boots.
But got to have something that I can easily get on and off, and is
I know what you're saying, because all I own is cowboy boots, or like line boots got big heels like a cowboy boot.
Yeah,
And I've
yeah.
noticed over the last couple years, if I'm at the shop, like they're working on my truck or something, like I got to get the brakes done. If I'm standing on the concrete floor for about an hour with any kind of high heeled boot on, like a cowboy boot or climbing boot,
Right.
my back will be killing me in an hour. I mean, it hurts.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I know what you're saying.
In front of my desk here is my boot rack, and there's probably 8 pair of different style cowboy boots. And yeah, and they're again they're not cheap. They're nice quality made boots, and some's got leather soles, some has the urethane rubber type sole, more for walking. And
You ever had a pair of gator skin boots, alligator skin?
no, I did buy my first pair of ostrich. I never cared for ostrich, and about 3 years ago, I went into a boot store that I frequent, and they had a pair of Ariats, ostrich black, and I mean, I love them boots.
I
Love
always
them.
wanted a pair of ostrich, but me and my wife, matter of fact, at the same time she bought me this hat, she
Mhm.
bought me a pair of gator skin, real gator skin. I think they were Cayman, but they were real alligator skin cowboy
Right.
boots. I wore them damn things for 5 years. The first set of soles were leather on them. I had to get them
Uh-huh.
resold 3 more times, and they resold them with that neoprene or whatever, the rubber.
Okay.
But I mean, that was the toughest leather I have ever seen. Usually, I'll blow a pair of cowboy boots out in a year. That alligator skin is tough skin, man, especially because I was working in them, riding motorcycles in them, and everything.
That's the ostrich ones. They're
Yeah, I've always liked the looks of the
Ariats,
ostrich, but
and
they're
they got
so soft. The
yeah,
ostrich skin's so soft. I was afraid that, like riding in that, they'd tear.
yeah, yeah. I teach in them, and they got a tall shaft, and got a nice urethane. Actually, the soles is getting pretty well worn on them. But yeah, those have been my go-to everyday teaching boots when I'm out. I can stand for 6-7 hours teaching. I'm on inside of a classroom, and then of course I have my other work boots, for going out the shop, getting into the spray booth, and then getting my hands dirty. So yeah, that's
Yeah,
it.
the worst pair of boots I ever bought in my life. I swore I'd never buy another pair again. I was 16 or 17, and I was working. Where the hell was I? I think I was working down in Texas or something, and I bought a pair of snakeskin boots.
Oh,
And the very first time I took off riding on the bike, by the time I got back, everywhere where my shifter touched my boot, I ripped all the scales off them.
yeah, my nephew, he had a pair of snake skin boots when he was out playing. He was traveling out with bands playing guitar, And remember the Marlboro Man?
Oh yeah, Harley Davidson and the Marlboro
Yep.
Man.
Yep.
One of my favorite movies.
So Jason got down to duct taping his boots together because they were falling apart, but they was his stage boots, and he had those boots basically hanging on with duct tape. And they were snake skin.
Dude, I love the looks of them snakeskin, but they were the worst boots as far as, like I said, I think a month after I had them, almost all the scales was knocked off of them.
Wow.
You know? Becoming Dangerous said he always wanted a pair because of the movie. I think a lot of us wanted a pair of them boots because of that movie.
Right. Yeah. Sort of dating ourselves, ain't we?
Well, I mean, half of my gun collection is based off of either guns that Plowboy bought and did a video on, and the other half's based off of guns that I seen in movies when I was younger, and I was like, I gotta have one of them. I gotta have one of them. You know.
Yep. I got my bucket list of guns I want to purchase. Kind of whittling down on it. Oh, he said the bike, not the boots. Yeah, the FXR.
Oh, yeah. I always wanted an FXR. I never could find a good enough deal on one. I built a white rigid frame Harley that everybody thought looked a lot like the Marlboro Man's bike, or like Harley Davidson's bike in the movie.
Mhm.
That FXR chopper that Mickey Rourke had.
Yeah.
A lot of people said that bike looked a lot like it, but I ended up giving that to my oldest boy, and I couldn't ride it no more. My back was getting bad. I bought that Street Glide, and actually it wasn't even a Street Glide. It was an Electric Glide that I converted into a Street Glide.
Okay.
I just couldn't. I bought the Electric Glide thinking it'd be nice having the trunk on it and that. And then when I rode it, I kept telling myself, man, I just ain't old enough to have that big trunk on the back of that bike, you know. But honestly, I mean, I've had mostly Harleys, but I've had a lot of Japanese bikes too. Like I had that picture you seen with my oldest daughter when she was 4. That was a 750 Honda chopper I built. I built a 900 Kawasaki chopper. I used to build choppers out of just about anything because Harleys were expensive even back when I was young, you know.
Sure.
And I like all kinds of bikes. You know, I'm not a die-hard Harley guy. Just riding in motorcycle clubs, I couldn't ride nothing but Harleys. You know, I mean, that was most of the clubs I hung around with and rode with. Their rule was you had to have a Harley. You know.
Yeah. Yep. Heard that. So.
All right, you have a good night. Becoming Dangerous. I seen a video one time. It looked like Jake had a Harley, had a motorcycle gas tank in his video, and so I figure either he rides or he works on them or something.
You know, it was interesting when he came into the hotel casino there inside of Vegas. He looked exactly like he does inside of his videos. Work shirt, the hat, same guy.
I mean, if you ever see me in person, I don't spend a lot of money on clothes. I wear my work shirts when me and my wife I have one dress shirt if we go out to a real nice restaurant I'll wear, but the rest of the time this is what I'm wearing. You know, sleeveless shirts, my cowboy hat. You know, it's just.
Now, I don't remember if I did this or not, but a snapper. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jake, if he's still on. But I think I handed Snapper the bandana to put on so I could make sure it was actually him.
Yeah, I used to tease him about that. And then when he did that unveiling, he took it off on 11 Bang Bang.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, put it back on.
Put it back on. Put it back on. It was fun. It was fun getting.
I think I got all of you beat in an ugly contest. That's the only thing I can guarantee. I'll take first place.
I'll shave this off. But yeah, I hope to be back out in Vegas again in February. I actually got it set up if I do go back again, if I get selected to go back to the World of Concrete, I do plan on staying over that extra day for the Las Vegas Antique Gun Show. So that's in my calendar.
There's Steven's on now. He was the one I was telling you about. I helped him out.
Oh, Stephen, yep.
Did some machining on a die for him.
Okay.
So, but no, I got a pretty good sense of humor. You had to have a good sense of humor when growing up with my dad. My dad was he didn't coddle his kids by no means. I remember my dad telling me when I was like 6, 7 years old, he'd say, "Boy, you look like you climbed to the top of the ugly tree, fell, hit every branch on the way down, climbed back up, and fell down again."
There's was had to hang a pork chop off of his neck so his dog would play with them.
Yeah. My dad told me I was so ugly I'd have to sneak up on a glass of water to get a drink. Another one of his favorite, every time I'd get in trouble in school or something, he'd tell me, he'd say, "Boy, if brains was gasoline, you wouldn't have enough to start a piss ant's motorcycle." Yeah, it was for his 72 150 Muckwa cartridge he was building.
Oh, okay.
So, like I said, if you can't find a mold, let me know, man. And if you find a sizing die, I'll machine it out for you.
I got a few. I don't remember. I know I got them up from 0.429 to I think 0.43. I don't remember now. I got them. I got sizing dies for my 44 WCF 45 Colt on up to my 4570.
Because, like I said, for that Rossi, for a heavy cartridge, I'm just sizing down 459. I mean, I don't know. That's a lot more, 451 down to 432 or whatever, or 433. But I imagine being leaded, as long as you lube them and they go through that sizing.
Right now, I'm just using pure lead, soft lead.
Yeah.
I don't alloy them. I try to keep them soft so they'll bump up good.
But so I don't know. You want to stay on longer, or are you about done?
Probably need to start getting off here. We've been on.
Thinking tomorrow's work days.
Yeah.
Well, man, I really appreciate you coming on. Like I said, we've been talking about this. We've been talking about this for a while and just never seemed to got around to it. So.
Yeah. I'll do it again. Get some others on. So.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So hopefully again, bear with me. Hopefully I'll get some videos out here in the next couple of weeks at least, depending on how they'll.
Sorry, I don't mind watching some of your old ones. I really like I said, any of the ones with that 73 in it. I'll watch them over and over and over again. I don't care.
Hey, I'll do what I can.
Yeah, I mean that's all you can do right now, man. You're recovering from back surgery. You're doing better than I think.
It's definitely been a little more. It's been definitely what I wasn't expecting. I didn't expect the recovery to be as bad. I mean, that had a few days that was pretty bad.
The older you get, the slower you heal. And because of my eye, the surgery that they had to do, I wasn't supposed to do anything where it could shock it or anything because I didn't want to damage it while it was healing. And they told me to take a month off, from doing anything where I could strain it. And I was about like back pressure from shooting and that. And I didn't do any shooting videos for almost 2 months, I think, because it just wasn't worth risking damaging the eye,
Yeah,
especially like, if you're shooting in an indoor range, that concussion.
Oh yeah.
I didn't want to screw around because I almost ended up blind because of putting that off. I want to end up blind because I didn't wait long enough for it to heal up all the way,
Yeah, they say nerve damage takes about a year to fully heal. So apparently mine had been pinched off for quite some time, and I think going back getting the spinal blocks kind of compounded the problem when it finally healed.
Because you couldn't feel the pain, so you didn't know how bad it really was.
Right. Yep. That's it. So done a lot more damage. So I'm gonna get there. Working on it.
All right. Well, hey, again, thank you for coming on. I really enjoyed just
Appreciate it.
hanging out here with you
Appreciate
and
it.
talking with you. And
Y'all have a
it
great.
sucked because I don't know what was going on with YouTube last time, but
Yeah.
I kept trying to go live with me and you, and it wouldn't
Mhm.
go. And then as soon as you dropped off, it went live, and I was
Crazy,
so frustrated,
yeah.
I just canceled it. And then so it took me, from then until now to figure out how to make this StreamYard work, but it
Mhm.
seemed to work pretty good tonight.
Yeah.
So
I
I
like
might
it.
just stay with the StreamYard because I think with the StreamYard I can add more than 2 people. I think I can add 4 or 5 people.
I believe so. I believe so.
I think I might just stick with the StreamYard thing and play with it and figure it out better.
Right. Right. Yeah.
But
I think you can do
I'll keep
a lot
praying
more
for
with
you to heal up, and I'll watch for your
Yes, sir.
videos, bro.
Okay.
All
Take
right.
care.
Have a good night.
Hope to see y'all down the trail.